Music. A subject that we can all relate to in some form, be it listening, playing, or performing. For some, it's merely an escape from reality, while for others, it can be a tether to the real world and a way of self-expression. How can one develop a passion for something so fluid and free? Our education system is definitely one way a person can discover their calling, but sometimes the music education system can have a more complicated relationship with the people in it.
This is the story of two students on their own musical journeys, of how schooling inflamed their passions, and of how it broke them. And maybe, just maybe, how it revived them. Who are we kidding? It's just our stories, the two of us going through high school as music students do. Hopefully you'll find some of that profound shit in here somewhere, though. I don't really remember a time when music wasn't a massive part of my life. I grew up in a household where arts and culture were very important, and my earliest memories involve me singing on stage just these Bengali songs. When I was in 7th grade, I was in symphonic band at Hopkins Junior High, and I loved it. I was really looking forward to all the fun festivals that we would do in middle school with the band, with the group, and I was fully invested in all of that. That year, though, was the year that the pandemic hit, and so with all of the infinite free time that I now found on my hands, I had to find some other way to funnel a lot of that musical creative energy. And that's when I found GarageBand.
My experience with music began when I was about 4, and I started taking piano lessons. For a while, I was just playing and having fun, but eventually I realized they weren't quite right for me. My real musical journey began when I was 8 or 9, and after a couple of years break, decided I wanted to come back to piano. Through learning the piano, I started to see all of these beautiful and wonderful things, aspects of the world that I had never seen before. And my teacher, Mr. Boaz, he showed me all these cool things listening to notes and then writing them on sheet music, or learning how to read, all of the basics of course, but also mixed in with some theory stuff as well. The theory stuff was what really got me interested, and I was like, wow, I had no idea that music could be this intricate and interwoven, and everything makes so much sense. So that was what prompted me. I was like, you know what, maybe when I got to high school, I would take AP Music Theory.
Even from my earliest days playing piano, I would tinker with the concept of composing. I'd come up with these little melodies on the piano and show them to people. But GarageBand and the access to the whole symphony per se, that really amped it up to a whole new level. And I was tinkering in GarageBand a lot, and I think my greatest accomplishment, if you will, from that time period was this little Latin-inspired tune that I oh so creatively titled Go With The Groove. Now, Go With The Groove was special to me because, my parents had been on board with my composing stuff before, but they really liked that one. The pandemic was also when I started listening to film scores more, and during the pandemic I have no sense of reality. I'm just sitting there daydreaming oh, wouldn't it be nice if I scored my own movie someday? as lockdown is about to come to a close, I've got this kind of fantasy about film scores. I've got kind of my tinkerings with composition and GarageBand, and I've of course got my interest in music, my interest in band going strong, and I was really excited come high school to see what that next chapter would bring.
The first time I came to AP Music Theory, I had no idea what to expect. It was my first AP class, so I was like, is the workload gonna be crazy, or is the teacher gonna be super strict? But as soon as I met Mr. Bellis, most of those worries were like blown away. Because I didn't even know Mr. Bellis then, but he had such a supportive and welcoming atmosphere about him. I was like, I think I'm gonna like this class. He was also the mission choir director, but he told us that, and my first thought upon hearing that he was the choir director was, Mission has a choir? Which honestly I was well founded in my ignorance, because it didn't really have a choir. It was 10 members, which is part of the reason Bellis was trying to grow the choir program. And so he asked us theory students, like, hey, do you guys want to join choir? Like, all you guys are pretty good musicians, or I assume since you're in this class. So we could really use you. And I was like, you know what? Why not? As you continued, I could feel myself getting better and like improving with pretty much every song, every concert we did. And joining the choir just opened so many doors for me. There were so many experiences and people and all of these wonderful things that I never would have gotten to experience had I not joined the choir. So we wrapped up the year. It was a good year. We had done a whole bunch of concerts, and I felt really good about it.
With band, I remember in middle school, I was definitely extremely engaged. I felt like my teacher there was really actively working to try to make me better, and so I responded by trying to be better every day. And I didn't really feel that as much in high school. I think the one semester where I was engaged, where it felt like I wasn't just doing music for academic sake, for college academic sake, where I genuinely felt like I was in a learning environment where I wanted to grow, was the last couple months of freshman year,
when we had a substitute band director, Mr. Sarton.
Early on, your job is to inspire. The way I motivate my students extrinsically is by singing. On the other hand is intrinsic, or their own self-provided motivation. And generally in that, we remind them why they're here. They might be in music because they love music and they want to excel and they want to be rock stars at some level on some type of music. Great, we show them how to practice in that way. But it might be that they're just here to hang out with their friends and play pretty stuff. And if you lead a person to realize that they are valued at whatever level they're able to engage, then that engagement will grow.
I can tell that Mr. Sarton is really, really passionate about what he does. And I think part of the reason that he's so passionate is because he knows, or obviously he loves what he does, but also he realizes passion begets passion. If the students can see how passionate and how much the teacher is putting in, then they would be inclined to put more in themselves.
I think teachers play a large part in how engaged students are with their curriculum in any subject. That's definitely true in music when you've got a big group of people, all with different personalities, all learning from this one figure in the center.
So creating community, understanding our role in community, understanding other people's roles in community is a basic lesson that you can only learn in sports or in music, because those are the two places that we allow for groups to work together on a big scale. And unfortunately with athletics, there's always winners and losers. And in music community, you're creating an opportunity for everyone to be successful with a slightly different definition of success.
Isaac's choral journey is a perfect example of a mentor helping a student find their definition of success.
The more I got to know Mr. Bellis, I realized a couple of things about him. Number one was that he really respected passion. Those that he saw were like giving the most and trying the most in choir, he gave them the most attention and respected them the most. Another thing that at first I thought was very strange, but later I realized was actually really sweet, was that he says "I love you" to both his choir and AP Music Theory at the end of each period. And I wasn't really sure why, but the more time I spent with him, I began to realize like he genuinely cares about his students. And I think that's part of the reason why he was able to bring out such this blooming and wonderful passion in me that I had no idea existed before.
This is the summer before college apps, and at this point, I had found out that I had indeed made assistant section leader, and obviously I was very happy because this is a goal that I had really worked hard for a very long time. And it's not that it was all work, no play. I had found a way to have fun in marching band. There was still that aspect of hanging out with friends, and the winter percussion program was very fun while that lasted. But the motivation for all of that had always been to, on some level, achieve this academic goal, and I had done that. And so now, over the summer before you turn in all your college applications, I was mostly working on my college applications, but whenever I was doing music, it would again be marching band practice with the hopes of, if I can be better, maybe we'll win some awards. And if I win some awards, I can put it on my college application.
I think the really defining moment was during the San Jose State Choir Camp. At that camp, I knew how to sing, of course, but I did not expect how amazing it was going to be. It was about 40 people or so, but the thing about all of these people at the camp was that they were really, really passionate and good singers. Like, who pays to, over the summer, go and sing a whole bunch more, except for people that are truly dedicated to choral music? So singing with these people, like, we didn't even need that much introduction or time to start sounding really, really good. And with those people, all of these friendly, amazing people who were just as passionate about music as I was like, this is the type of choir that I really want to join. And from there, I started to realize, maybe this is something I want to pursue, like, as a career.
My summer was not me expanding on a passion or finding a passion like Isaac's was. I was just doing the work motivated by extrinsic pursuits rather than any kind of intrinsic joy.
I did my applications, and after I submitted them, literally 30 minutes before the deadline was due, I was like, all right, I'm done with that. All is good. All was not good. I neglected to realize that I needed auditions for most of these places, and I had no songs ready. So I had 15 days to prepare 3 entire arias. I worked tirelessly, like I would sing during lunches, during reads, basically any break I had to learn these 3 songs. And I submitted them not expecting much, because honestly it was kind of last minute, but come end of December, I got in. Or they liked my pre-screening. So for Irvine and all of the other schools as well. So Irvine emailed me and was like, you should come down to Irvine for your audition. And I was really excited because this was the first time I'd ever done something like this at all. So I went down there, sang my songs, and goodness, it was horribly nerve-wracking. But I got through it, and I think I gave a pretty good performance. So I went through, did the rest of the auditions, and I was like, all right, whatever happens, happens. So a month later or so, I got an email saying, we have accepted you to the Irvine School of Music. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And like a year ago, I had no idea that I would ever be pursuing something like this. And now I just got into Irvine on vocal performance.
Application decisions have come out, and all the work that I put in for band and leadership and all of that kind of worked out because I have good options now. But now that all that's over, I have this empty feeling inside. Then we had a history for film project that started to change everything a little bit. I knew right off the bat I wanted to make the film something entirely my own. So I wrote it, I edited it, and I realized that I could finally fulfill my fantasies about being a film score composer. And so I composed my own score for the film. Now, granted, I did it bit by bit, day by day. I didn't get to every single scene within that piece. And so sometimes I would just like pump out some chords on a string setting and put a heartbeat underneath it and call it a day. But for the most part, for most of the runtime, there was a theme that I had written, and it was moody and it reflected the nature of the film, and I wrote variations of that theme and played with instrumentation and really put a lot of effort into this score to the point where, besides the heartbeat string stuff, it was something I was really, really proud of, and I wanted to release it. So I compiled it, I put it all into one album on my little private Apple Music, and then it just kind of sat there because I didn't really know what I wanted to do after that. And I think it would have sat there for a lot longer if I didn't receive one more push from my history and film class.
Hey, you guys are doing a documentary project.
So right away, I'm kind of nervous. I don't really like documentaries. I try to avoid watching them if I can. There are exceptions, of course, but I'm sitting there going, what the fuck am I supposed to make a documentary about? I am very lucky to have a collaborator as ambitious and driven as Isaac, because watching him work on this really inspired me to get up to his level and really give this project my all. I came up with this tidbit about kind of tracking our musical journeys through high school and in the music education scene, and I realized what better motivation for me to use this documentary about my passions, about my musical passions, and use that to finally cross the finish line on one of my passions and reignite my love for composing by scoring this documentary and documenting it.
So after having gotten into Irvine, I was kind of like, what's next? And I realized I really want to work on some real, like, actual classical rap. So I decided, why not try and do a duet with my best friend who I had dragged into the choir with me. So we found this really, really pretty arrangement called Auf den zu Wassen singen. It was a Schubert piece. That was for two people. However, this version specifically, the duet version, did not exist anywhere on the internet in sheet music, and the only place it was the one video we found it. So we had a bit of a problem, as we didn't have anything to learn it off of. But over the next month or so, we were listening and very, very carefully writing down and notating each and every individual note. And it was very painful, but we managed to get through it, and I'm really hoping that he puts in as much work as I am, because this duet, when we perform it, is kind of going to be the summation of our musical journeys and everything we've learned over the last 2 years. This is really, it's kind of a conclusion for our time at the Mission Singers, but I also, for me, think that this is a beginning to my next chapter.
I was looking for some ideas, tinkering with some ideas to create a theme. I know that Isaac's finding his passion, and we document that through this documentary. I know that I'm rekindling my passion through this, and so I wanted the theme to kind of have this hopeful tune, and then randomly, in the middle of the night, I have this idea, I have this like tune stuck in my head. I get up and I pump it out on GarageBand after some trial and error. Shit.
Yo.
That's me at 3:30 a.m. thinking that I'm the shit. At the same time, I had every intention of publishing it before this documentary released. So in order to get some insight into that process, I talked with someone I knew who had already released music independently last year.
It was just sort of a secret hobby for like years and years. I was just like, if there's a hard test and I don't want to study anymore, I'm procrastinating, that's what I'm doing. A lot of people assumed that I put out my album for college apps. It wasn't really like that. It was more so that became my deadline, that became my marker, because I'm like super perfectionist. It's like, oh, this one song, this one beat, it's like a teeny bit off, doesn't sound perfect yet, it's not full. And I'll just keep doing that, keep editing and editing and editing. Unless I have a deadline, it'll never see the light of day. No one will ever get to hear it. And so one of the things that happened because of that, because I had that deadline, was it forced me to prioritize my music. Because music was always sort of this thing that was always in the back of my head, and this pushed it to the forefront.
As we kept talking, Ashwika gave me some guidance on how she was able to publish her album. I jotted all that down, and I was thinking the great speed run it, and I conveniently forgot that we have a legal system in this country.
It's more so just like paperwork.
So, shit. I realized that the legal process that requires, the conversations that I need to have with my parents about all of that, especially if I want to set this up for the future, all of that process would take a little bit longer than the deadline that we had for this film. But there is a silver lining, which is that thanks to this documentary, I now have a plan in place to release my music the way I have always wanted to. In order to seal the deal, though, to really cement that rebirth of this passion for composing and producing, I needed to actually finish the score for this documentary. So I wanted the bass to be piano for the main melody because that's where both Isaac and I got our starts, and you've already seen that. But I also wanted to experiment a little bit. I decided, hey, this is a great opportunity to play with trap beats and experiment with that a little bit. And that's what you're seeing me create and listening to right now. So as you can see, Isaac edited a shit ton, I scored a shit ton, and I think we've managed to put it all together pretty well. I think just as a duet is the finale of this chapter of Isaac's musical journey, this film is the finale of this chapter of mine, and I can't wait to see what's next. You can look at how, for Isaac, musical education, with the help of positive influences, really helped him find his purpose in a way. And he's singing for himself. You can look at how, for Ashwika, she used her external deadline as motivation to finish this personal written album for herself. And I think it would be a disservice to the film and to myself not to acknowledge how my personal flaws have acted as roadblocks and affected my musical journey. But I also do think that it would be incomplete to talk about my musical journey without talking about the effects of education and about extrinsic motives. I've seen the effects of that burnout on people all around me, people who put their all into band, and now if you ask them if they would continue something in that vein, you will get answers of no.
No. Also no.
Absolutely not.
To be fair, that's not everyone.
Yes.
I would try to pursue music. And I'm on the fence myself. I'm not sure if band, which became so much about the extrinsic stuff, is in the cards for me anymore. I'd really like it to be. But what I can say at least is that thanks to this documentary, I hope that I have been able to reconnect with the joy I used to find in music. And I think this will serve as the catalyst for me to play more, practice more, compose more for myself.
Music is more than the notes on the page. It's the friendships we've built, the memories we've shared, and the lessons we've learned together. Through every rehearsal, every performance, and every moment of crying or happiness, we've found a second home in each other. As we take these memories with us, we know that no matter where life leads, whether it be to college or just as a hobby, the bonds that we've created and the memories we've made will always guide us home.